All right. It looks like we are ready to get started here. Now, I just finished a lesson inside of our English Everyday program where we had a great discussion about AI and about the future of English. We talked about how English has changed over time. And one of the big points that we were talking about was how, yes, languages change, but the basics of English probably won't change so much in our lifetimes, right? Like slang changes very quickly. If you go to different places and you talk to different people, slang changes very quickly. And the example that I gave in our lesson was how, for example, me, an old guy like me, I use the word charisma. I can say he has a lot of charisma, but a lot of my younger siblings and other people I know, they uh, don't use this word anymore. They don't say charisma, they say riz. They'll say he's got riz. And this means charisma. And so for me, as an older English speaker now, it sounds funny or strange that younger people use these other words. Um, but but at the same time, I understand that languages change, right? Now, basics of a language don't change so much. But one of the things that we were talking about in our lesson just now that just finished right before going live on YouTube with you, one of these things is AI, or artificial intelligence. And you've probably seen this. You've probably seen Chat GPT and other programs where a robot can talk for you, right? A robot can say things for you. A robot can basically, write a book for you, or a robot can speak for you, right? And very soon in our world, there's going to be this big shift where a lot of people will feel like they don't need to learn languages anymore. This is going to happen. People are going to feel like they don't have to learn it because the robots will do it for you. And we talked about this in our lesson that we just finished. By the way, anyone who is here right now, let me go ahead and put a link into the chat for everyone who's joining us live. I see some people are joining us live right now saying, okay, Sahar says hi. Navina says hello. Nelson watching from Papua New Guinea. Awesome. Tana Siri says hi, teacher. Daniela says hello. Great. Yeah. So if you're joining us here, then just drop a comment, write a comment in the chat. For everyone who's watching live, I'm going to do something for you. Aza is here. Hi, Aza. I'm going to do something for you. Here is my personal Facebook page. This is a link to my Facebook page. And I'm also going to give you the link to my LinkedIn page. So if you would like to add me personally on LinkedIn or on Facebook, you can do that. Okay. And then if you wanted to get into our lessons and practice speaking face to face, then you can ask me about that. Just before we went live, I was in a speaking lesson. Aza was there, Tana was there, Nirvana was there, a few others were there. And now we're coming over here to YouTube, and we're going to continue our discussion. And in the speaking lesson, we get to speak face to face. So I get to hear your voice. I get to hear what you say. You get to ask questions directly to me. But here on YouTube, unfortunately, I can't hear you. You can't turn your microphone on, but that's okay. It's just a different type of communication, right? Let's see. Nelson says, do you have any WhatsApp group? Nelson, that's a good idea. We should make one, shouldn't we? Maybe I'll make one. Right now we don't. You know what we do have, Nelson? Inside of our English club and our English Everyday program, we have a community on our website where it's like WhatsApp, where you can send messages back and forth. And we have a lot of different students from different countries in there and teachers. And it's you send messages back and forth like on a WhatsApp group. And then you can also post on there, like on Facebook. So it's pretty cool. And then there's also a live room. So you can just click on the live room button anytime, and you can just start speaking to people. That's really cool. All of that is just inside of our website, inside of our program. So yeah, so we have that. It's not in WhatsApp. It's over on our website. Natalia Akatova, hi. Thanks for coming over from the lesson and joining us here. Marisa says hello from Brazil. Great. All right. Well, when we were at the end of our lesson, Nelson says, okay, thank you. Yeah, Nelson, I can send you a link to our website. Here you go. So you can go over to our website. You can check out our speaking program. And inside of there, we have this, it's like a WhatsApp group. It's like all of those different ways of communicating are there. I think you'll really like it. All right. Shayam just joined. Chaya joined. Ismail joined. Great. Hey, everybody. So welcome. If you're just joining now, if you've been with me for a while, great to see you again. And everybody who was just in our speaking practice lesson, thanks for joining me over here. Now, at the end of our speaking practice lesson that we just finished, Thana sent a message asking a question, and I didn't have time to finish it over there, so I came over here and said that I was going to answer it. So her question was, could you please explain how to conjugate nouns like confident to confidence, consistent to consistency, and what kind of adjectives can we conjugate like this? So it's a great question, and there are a lot of different ways that we do this. So it's actually very difficult. It's a difficult question because there are a lot of different forms that adjectives can take, right? So usually what we do is we go from a noun to an adjective. We don't usually go from the adjective back to the noun. We start with the noun and then we create an adjective from there. And so one of the easiest ways to do this is by adding the letter Y. If we add the letter Y to the end of the noun, then this forms an adjective, usually. That's one way that we do it. Okay? So adding the letter Y to the end of the noun is one way that we can make an adjective. An example of this is the noun noise. Right? To hear a noise. And the adjective from noise is noisy. So you have noise and you have noisy, noun, adjective. Great. I see Alexei says, hello, Kris. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So that's one way that we can do this. If everybody can still hear me, let me know in the chat, because I see that there might be some problem with the connection, or it might be kind of slow. Just let me know, okay? Just write in the chat. Let me know that you're still here with me and you can still hear what I'm saying. All right. Cheyenne says, it's nice to see you live after a long time. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back, baby. You're going to be seeing a lot more of me, so get used to it. And if you haven't ever been with me live, or if you haven't ever been in one of our speaking lessons, then you should know that the thing that I love more than anything else is answering questions. Okay? That's the thing that I love the most. I love answering questions that you ask. And that's why I'm super happy when people ask questions. So, coming back to Tana's question about nouns and adjectives. How do we form adjectives, right? And I see Synergy writes, don't confuse noisy with nosy. Yeah, that's a good one. Noisy is from the noun noise, like a sound, like a bad sound, a sound that we don't like. That's a noise, right? And if we say that something is noisy, then it means that there's a lot of noise, a lot of this sound that's bad. But if we say nosy, this is an adjective from the noun nose, your nose. And if we say that somebody is nosy, it doesn't mean that they have a big nose. That's not what it means. No, no, no. It means that the person is in your business. They're trying to be in things that are not for them. They want to be in situations or in the conversation and find information that's not supposed to be for them, right? Like maybe you have that friend who's always trying to be in the middle of the conversation when you don't want them to be there. You can say they're very nosy, right? Maybe something happened in your life and you don't want to tell other people, and this person is trying to find out. They're nosy. So that's nosy. But noisy is about a noise. Charles says, my boss is super nosy. So, okay, so you can see that one way that we can change a noun to an adjective is by adding y at the end of the word. And we pronounce it like E, right? Now, sometimes this can be confusing because you can have y at the end of a word and maybe there isn't a noun like that, right? Like the word busy. Busy is an adjective, but biz, well, that's a short word for business, but usually we don't use this as a noun, right? There's a lot of, or for example, pretty. Pretty is an adjective, but there isn't a noun that we use like prit, right? This isn't, so it doesn't always work like this, but that's one way, right? So it's hard to find a good rule about how they change. And that's because changing a noun to an adjective, the rule for changing it actually comes from the root of the word, usually. So you have to find the etymology of the word, like what other language that word came from. This will help us understand how to form an adjective from a noun. But most of the time, people aren't going to think that deeply about the language. Native speakers don't think that deeply about why they're saying those adjectives or why those adjectives are formed that way. And if you're learning English, then it's a lot of work to try to remember that, to try to learn a whole story about why the word changes like that. So usually what people say is that you just have to memorize it or remember it, right? So there are a lot of other ways that we can also change a noun to an adjective. Like we can add full at the end of the word, right? Like we have the word afraid, but another word for afraid, a synonym of afraid, is the word fearful. Fearful. Full of fear, right? So if someone has fear, if they are afraid, then we can say they are fearful. Another example of this ending, this adjective ending, is beautiful. Beautiful, right? And full of beauty. Yes, Charles, we're on the same page here. Exactly. Now, when we add these endings to the word, these are called suffixes. to add a suffix. A suffix is a language word, a linguistic term. So most people don't say the word suffix, they'll say ending, the ending of the word. Shyam, good. Yeah, that's another example with adding E or the letter Y at the end of the word. Honest and honesty. But in this case, Shyam, it's backwards, right? Because honesty is the noun and honest is the adjective. Do you see why it's very confusing? This is why Tana was asking this question about how we can change adjectives and nouns and how we can understand the difference between them, because they change in a lot of different ways. There are a lot of ways to form an adjective from a noun. And this is why she was asking this question, and this is why it's a difficult topic. And like I explained, many times the rule for this is based on where the word comes from. And that's what makes it so difficult. So as a learner of the language, usually it's going to be easier just to try to remember them, because the other option is to learn a story about the word. And sure, if you are experienced with linguistics and you've learned multiple languages before, especially other languages in the same language family, then that can be a good way. But if it's your first foreign language, right? If English is your second language, then it's probably easier to remember them, just to memorize how these words change, and especially depending on your level of English also. If you're at the advanced level, then okay, it's probably a good idea to learn some of these stories, some of this etymology of where the word comes from. Because then there are categories and groups, and then you can kind of put them into these categories when you learn a new one and understand why it works that way. But it doesn't always work the same way. So there are a lot of exceptions. Another suffix or ending that can be used to create an adjective from a noun is ly. Ly. Lee. Now, usually when we add ly at the end of the word, it becomes an adverb. An adverb describes action. It's not describing a noun, it's describing a verb, usually. Like I just said the word usually. This ends with ly, but this is not an adjective. The adjective is usual, and the adverb is usually, right? But sometimes we add ly to the end of the word, and it becomes an adjective. It becomes an adjective. For example, man, manly. So if a person acts like a man, we can say he is very manly. He's manly. Ly at the end. This is an adjective from the noun man. So this is another way that we can create adjectives from nouns. Another one is, for example, we have the word mystery. A mystery. Ooh, we don't know what it is. It's a mystery. This is a noun. It's a mystery, noun. But if we want to change that to an adjective, we can change it to mysterious. Mysterious. So we might add this suffix or ending to the word ous. Ous. Is. Mysterious. Like a mystery. I see Tana wrote in the chat, friend becomes friendly. Yeah, just like man, manly, friend, friendly. Exactly. And so it can be very confusing that ly can be an adverb most of the time, but it can also be an adjective, right? Brother, brotherly. Yeah. Great examples, everybody. Okay, I mean, we could talk about this topic forever because a lot of times it's, you just have to remember them. Like I've said a lot of times already while we've been talking on this live call today. And sometimes those endings mean something different, right? Like we were talking about fearful and beautiful. And sometimes there's more than one adjective. Sometimes there's an adjective that has one meaning and then another adjective for another meaning. For example, the adjectives economic and economical. Yeah. These two words have different meanings, but they are both adjectives. They're both adjectives. So if we say that something is economic, then this is about the economic system. It's about the economy, right? The economy is the noun, economic, about the economy. But if we use the adjective economical, then this is about saving, about not using. Yeah. So there's a verb to economize, which is about saving or reducing how much you use. So if something is economical, like we might say, my car is economical on gas, on gasoline, on petrol, means it saves, it uses less. It's economical. Why did you buy this car, not that car? Oh, this car is more economical. Right? So sometimes adjectives have sometimes there's different adjectives with different meanings. All right, I see some great comments coming in. Nikolai, hey, buddy. Great to see you here. Nikolai says able. Yeah. So if we put able at the end of the word, this can create an adjective. And this has a special meaning also, that you can do it. You are able to do it. Like if I say that, and it's not always A-B-L-E, sometimes it's I-B-L-E, right? So both of these endings have the same concept, that you can do something. For example, there's the adjective unthinkable. So we know the verb to think, and yes, we can create an adjective from a verb too. So we have the verb to think. We have a prefix, the beginning of the word unthink. So this means the opposite, right? Not, or to do the opposite of it. Unthink, and then able at the end. Unthinkable means you cannot think it. Another word like this would be unimaginable. For example, last week, a hurricane hit my town, my city, hit my house. My tree in my backyard fell down. Pieces of my roof blew off. Part of my house broke. It's unimaginable. That was unimaginable or unthinkable, right? It means that we could not imagine it. We could not think about that. So yeah, that's another way that we can create an adjective. I see Jorge writes, what about the case of beauty and beautify? Yes, good question. So we have the word beauty. Beauty is a noun, a thing, an idea, concept, right? So beauty is a noun. And then we have the adjective beautiful, full of beauty. This is an adjective. So we can say she is beautiful. We can say this house is beautiful. Your dress is beautiful. But beautify, this is a verb. To beautify something, to make it beautiful. So this is a verb, an action, to beautify something. So that's the difference. Jorge, great question. Why can't we do the same with the adjective funny? Yeah, why can't we use the word funnily? That's funny. That is a good question. So what you're trying to do there is you're trying to make an adverb from the adjective funny, right? So we have a noun, fun, and then we have an adjective, funny. But the word fun can be both a noun and an adjective, right? There's a noun, fun, like let's have some fun. But then fun can also be an adjective, right? So sometimes the noun doesn't even change and it's an adjective. That's why this is such a difficult question, right? And this is why we really have to just remember a lot of this stuff. Unfortunately, most things in English, I don't tell you that you just have to remember them. Usually I tell you there's a rule, it's easy, here's the rule. But with this, it's a little more difficult, right? Because you can say, let's have some fun. That's a noun. But then you can say, that party was fun. That's an adjective. A fun party. Fun is describing the party. It's an adjective, right? And then we have the adjective funny. What's the difference between fun and funny? This is something I used to talk about with my students a lot. Wow, I haven't been in a lesson in a long time. I haven't been live with you guys in so long. If you want me to do this more, go tell people that we're doing this. Send people over to this channel. Send people over to our speaking lessons, and we also have our English club, which is open now, by the way. So if you have any questions about how to get more of the lessons and how to practice more, we have lessons every day. If you want to join speaking lessons every day, we have that. And if you just want me to give you lessons and quizzes every day that you can do on your own, we have that option too, right? Really just depends on your budget and your goals, right? So if you just need to practice English every day, then we have a system where every day I'll send you lessons and quizzes to practice. And if you need to practice speaking with people, then we have that option too. And you can just join 1, 2, however many lessons you want every day and practice speaking with real people and professional teachers. And I just finished one of those speaking lessons right now. So if you want to find out more about that, I put our email address down in the chat. And right now I'll also send you over to the speaking club. Awesome. Well, yeah. So what's the difference then between fun and funny? Tana says, a funny movie, a fun time. Those are good examples. So the best way to understand the difference between fun and funny is this. When something is fun, you have a good time, right? Like after a party, you say, wow, that was a good time. I had a good time. I enjoyed that. That means that it was fun. It was fun. If something is funny, that means you laugh. Like a funny joke. A joke is funny. Somebody tells a joke, and that's funny. You laugh. So a movie can be funny. You're right. A movie can be funny. Charles says, my brother is funny. Yeah. If we say he is so funny, it means that he says things that make us laugh. If we say he is so fun, It means that we have a good time when we are with him. So that's the difference. Fun and funny. And yeah, a lot of times when something is funny, it's fun too, right? Because it's fun to laugh. You have a good time when you're laughing. So yeah, that's why people probably confuse these things. Yeah, it's great talking with all of you guys. It's been a long time since I went live on this channel, and I'm really happy to be here and see you again. And just to remind you, I really love answering questions. So you can write questions in the chat. I'll try to answer them, and you know, ask anything. You can ask anything about English, about life. I like the English questions more, but you can ask really anything that you want. And great. We just had a great lesson right before this, by the way. We were speaking about how artificial intelligence is influencing language and influencing our work, and it's really interesting to see that. Now, at the beginning, Tana asked a question about adjectives and nouns, and so let's go back to that. Another way to create adjectives from nouns is to add the suffix, the ending, ish. Sounds funny, right? Ish. I-S-H. I-S-H. Sounds like ish. We add this at the end of the word. And so sometimes we have real adjectives like this. For example, we have the noun child. Child. If someone does something like a child, we can say it's childish. Childish. We usually use this word childish when it's not a child who's doing it, right? So when maybe you have a friend and sometimes they do something when they're not acting like they're a grown person. They're not acting like an adult. And you can say, hey, don't do that. It's so childish. It's so childish to do that, right? Yes, Charles, you just wrote a very good point. Sometimes we have other words where the ending ish, it means that it's like this, but it's not exactly that, right? And Charles just wrote the example yellowish. Yellowish. So we have the color yellow, and yellow is a noun, right? We can say yellow. It's a thing. It's a color. But it's also an adjective because I can say I have a yellow book, a yellow shirt. So it's about the shirt. So it's an adjective. But then we have another adjective, yellowish. Yellowish. This means it's kind of yellow. It's like yellow. It's not exactly yellow, but it's like yellow. We can say brownish. It's like brown. We can say bluish. It's something like blue. Like maybe my shirt doesn't look blue to you. Maybe you're saying, oh, maybe it's not blue. Maybe it's green. You're saying it's bluish, greenish. So we can add ish to the end, and this can tell us that something is like that, but not exactly that. Jorge and Sarah channel, what about distinguish? So distinguish is a verb, to distinguish something. Another way to say to distinguish something is to differentiate something. These are both verbs, right? It's to see the difference or to show the difference that thing has compared to other things. To distinguish something. And this is the difficult part here, right? Because sometimes we have the same ending of a word and it's not a suffix, right? Like distinguish is not this, the ish part of this verb is not a suffix. It's not an extra ending. It's part of the root. It's part of the word itself. It's part of the verb, right? So if we want to create an adjective, if we say that there's no difference, right? Like we say this hand and this hand, there's no difference. We can't see any difference between this hand and this hand. These hands are indistinguishable. Indistinguishable. This means we can't see differences between them, right? We can use the word distinguished. Distinguished, ed at the end. Distinguished. This is an adjective. It usually means that this person is well known. Well known. It's clear how this person is different. We can say a distinguished individual. This means that this person achieved something important. Maybe he's famous or he's well known, or people see and know why he is different from other people in a good way, right? So yeah, Jorge and Sarah channel. I hope that helps you guys understand. Distinguish is a verb, and ish is not a suffix here. It's not an added ending. It's just part of the word. Great question. So many smart people watching. It's great. Another word that we have, or another suffix, another ending that we have is tive, T-I-V-E, right? Or sometimes just I-V-E, iv. This could be an adjective ending. Like, for example, you have the noun information, and you have the verb to inform, and something that gives you a lot of information, something that gives you good information, you can say, that's very informative. Informative. Something that gives you good information, something that informs you. Yeah, Charles, good job, man. You're full of great examples today. Talkative, Charles wrote in the chat. Talkative. A person who is talkative, they talk a lot. And a person who doesn't talk a lot, you can say, oh, you're not very talkative today. It means you're not talking a lot today. To be talkative, right? Daniela says, can you explain in my language, please? Well, Daniela, I don't know what language is your language, and I'm going to speak English here on this YouTube channel. First of all, because it's called English with Kris Amerikos, but second of all, because we're speaking with people from all over the world who speak different languages, and we're doing it in English. Daniela says Romanian. Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't know I don't know any Romanian really. I mean, I know like the eu is I, and I don't know a lot. I don't know any Romanian really, except eu so is like I am, something like this, right? I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Anyways, let's stick to English so everyone can understand. Let's see. Synergy, Maria, right? Synergy writes, should we change the last letter Y in words when we add the suffix ish to them, like shy-ish or shy-ish with double I? I see what you're asking, Maria. Good question. No, you should not change you should not change Y in this case. I would not change it. But also you have to understand that this is more of a conversational word that you just wrote here. Because shy is already an adjective, and if you know, most people would not say shy-ish. You could say that, and in conversational English, someone could say that, right? Is she shy? She's shy-ish, right? You could say that. But most of the time, people aren't going to use that. It's not like an official word, not like childish, right? And so those official words, they don't usually end with Y plus ish. Maybe you can find an example. Maybe you can search online and find an example and prove me wrong. Maybe. I'm open to being wrong. Definitely don't know everything. But that was a really interesting question. Thanks. Let's see. Shyam says, where can we use the word indifference? Indifference. Cool. So indifference is a noun, and then there's an adjective, indifferent. Just like we have the word difference, which is a noun, and then we have an adjective, different, right? So we can say those two things are different. They are different. But when we use it as a noun, we can say there is a difference. There is a difference. And when you ask your teacher, or when you ask a question, you say, what's the difference? What's the difference between these two words, right? Difference is the noun. What's the difference? The difference, noun. You can say, how are they different? Adjective. They are different. So how can we use the word indifference, not having difference? So indifference usually means when we don't prefer anything. For example, what do you like more? Do you like this hand more or this hand more? And I can say, I am indifferent. I am indifferent. Indifferent. It means I don't have a preference. I don't prefer one or the other. I'm indifferent. That's what it means. Great. Okay, Wanderer 101. Hey, thanks for joining us. Says, hello, can you explain the phrase, he backed out? Sure. So this is a phrasal verb. This is a phrasal verb, to back out. And phrasal verbs usually have at least two meanings. One is a directional meaning, and one is a metaphoric meaning or symbolic meaning. So to back out, this could be a directional meaning. Like if I'm in my car and I need to go backwards, I open my garage and I back out of my garage. I go backwards out of my garage. This is to back out. So if you say he backed out, you might be talking about someone driving their car and going out of a place backwards. But we also have the metaphoric meaning or symbolic meaning, to back out of something. And this usually means that, for example, let's say that you invite me to your party, right? Say, Kris, will you come to my party? And I say, yes, I'll be there. And then you tell your friends, oh yeah, Kris said he'll come to the party. And then just before the party starts, I call you and I say, hey, I'm not going to come to the party. Sorry. And your friend says, what happened? What happened? And you tell your friend, Kris backed out of the party. Kris backed out of it. So it means that you go backwards, right? You go backwards in your decision. So this is the metaphoric meaning or symbolic meaning of to back out of something. All right. So I hope that helps. Karima says, thank you, sir. I'm looking forward for more of your to more of your live videos. Me too, Karima. You know, we do have our live speaking lessons in our program on our website, inside of our community. So if you want to do that, if you want to join that, you can go here. I'm going to put the link right here in the chat, okay? The link is in the chat. And then we also have our English club, which basically gives you, I'll send you a lesson and a quiz every day. And then you have our community where you can talk to people there. And I'll send you that link here, okay? So we've got the speaking club and we've got the English club. Those are two different choices for you, and you can come and you can practice with us. I really recommend that. If you feel like you don't have enough practice, that will help you every day. It's great. And I'm going to answer a few more questions before we finish this live video. But before I answer a few more questions, I just want to invite you one more time to follow me, to add me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Okay. So I'm going to put my personal Facebook page and my personal LinkedIn page. I'm going to put them right here in the chat. And, you can go there. You can you can ask me questions. You can send me a message. You can comment on my posts. You can leave me a recommendation, or tell me what you like or don't like. That's the beauty of the internet. So those are the pages where you can find me personally. All right. On our website, you can also find our Instagram and TikTok and those things. And then if you ever have questions, if you want to just practice English with somebody, like if you want to practice speaking, or if you want to do exercises, or you want to have some lessons that you can do on your own time when you have time, right? Or maybe you want to practice one-on-one with a teacher. Anything that you want, you can just send a message to us, an email. Okay. So I've just put the email address down here in the chat. You can send us an email and we'll help you out. All right. I see Najibullah says, hi, Kris. Hey, thanks for joining us here. We are almost finished with this live video. So if you're just joining us, it would be great if you go to our, let's do this also. On our YouTube channel, we have a community page, right? There's a place where you can write a comment under different posts. You can ask us questions there. You can tell us what you like and you don't like. And also, you can go to our other videos on this channel and you can comment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making some more videos. And I know a lot of times you want to see like grammar on the screen, or you want to see how the word is written. But in my opinion, the best thing that I can do for you to learn English is to change how you think about learning the language, to change how you think about using the language. Because there are so many teachers out there and there are so many lessons on YouTube. You've probably watched thousands of them at this point, right? You've probably seen all the videos. And even on our channel, we have like over 500 video lessons already, with me teaching, with other teachers teaching. So I think that the best thing that I can do is help you think differently. That's really how I see my mission here, is for me to help you think about English differently. And, I'm going to tell you why I haven't been live on this channel in a long time. It's because I've been busy with my other jobs, right? I started this channel because I had an English school, and then I had to move back to the United States. And when I did that, I had to move my English school online. And now that's why we have the speaking club and this English club. That's why we can help you like that, right? And after I did that, and we had a lot of students there, well, other teachers started to ask me if I could help them start their own school online. And I did that. I was a coach for people who wanted to start and grow a business online. And after that, I started a marketing agency to do marketing for other people in other companies. And so a lot of the people I coached on business, I started to do marketing for them and help them get more customers and clients. And right now, that's what I do. Most of my time is I spend advising people on their business. I consult people and I help them with their marketing, with the strategy of their marketing. And it's interesting because teaching and marketing and business, they're all about the same thing. It's all about helping people think differently about the world that they live in. And so I really feel like that's the best thing that I can do for you in these live videos and in the lessons on the channel. So if you want more videos on this channel and more lessons on the channel, probably what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm going to focus on how you think about the language, how you use the language, not so much about being correct and the grammar and the rules. I've done that already, right? I spent a lot of years helping you guys with that and making a lot of videos about that. But at this point now, there's so much of that out there. And what you really need is someone just to show you that there's a different way to do things. So I hope that you're going to like it. I hope you'll like what I give you. And I'm really going to be looking at all the comments. I'm going to be looking at all of the suggestions that you make. And I really hope that that we're able to connect, because I have a community inside of our website, right? There's a community on krisamerikos.com, and that's where I connect with people the most, right? Like you can connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I sent my links already in the chat. And like we can connect like that. We can be friends online, right? But the people I speak with the most are the people who are in our community, who are in our speaking club, who are in our English club, because they've really made a decision to take this seriously. So that's really important. Okay, let me come back to the chat and answer some more questions. I see Aza. Aza is also a consultant. We just talked earlier today in our speaking lesson. She wrote mindset. Claudia wrote, that's true. Absolutely. And Claudia, I just want to say thank you for being a member of our YouTube channel. That really means a lot to me. I see our level up symbol right next to your name. Level Up is the highest program that we have on our website. And that's where I personally try to help you think about English differently. And the goal there is to help you think in English, because it's a different thing. Like a lot of people first want to learn English. And that's about like rules and words, right? And then after people learn English, then they want to speak English. And that's why we have a speaking club. And so first we have our English club to help you learn English. Then we have our speaking club to help you speak English. And then I have my Level Up program where I help you think in English. So that's what we do on the website, krisamerikos.com. And here on YouTube, you can actually become a member and you can support us here on YouTube. And Claudia is one of those people. You can see the symbol next to her name, the icon. And Claudia, thank you so much. Great. Let me answer some more of these questions in the chat. Okay. Shyam, I saw your question about value and equal to me. I don't understand it. If you could write it a little differently, that would be great. Jorge and Sarah Channel, can you make a sentence with the phrase, with this phrasal verb, hitting on the nails? Hitting on the nails, to hit on the nails. So there's an idiom to hit the nail on the head, okay? Or to nail something. So both of these have about the same meaning. So if I say, you nailed it, this means that you did it the right way. You did it perfectly. You nailed it. So, maybe we're in the speaking lesson together and you pronounce a word and I say, you nailed that word. This means you pronounced it correctly, like 100% correct, perfectly. You nailed it. You did a great job. You nailed it. And if we say, you hit the nail on the head, this is an idiom, an idiomatic phrase in English, a special phrase. And it means the same thing. You did it perfectly. You did a great job. It means, yeah, you did it great. You did a great thing there. You hit the nail on the head. Exactly. So maybe that's what you're talking about. Because where was it? Hitting on the nails. That's not a phrase that I would usually use, but I would use you nailed it or you hit the nail on the head. Abdelghani says, you are a good teacher. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Oh, and I see Evan just joined us. Evan just joined us as a member on YouTube. So cool. Thank you so much, Evan. Really appreciate the support. Very cool. Okay. Great. So, wow, I haven't been live on YouTube in such a long time, and they have all these great features. Like I can see the people who are supporting us like that, the people who have been with us for a long time, and then the people who also are here, asking great questions, and I can answer them. And today we really don't have so many people. I mean, the last time that I went live on this channel, it was a couple years ago, I think, or maybe it was back in 2020. And in 2020, we just had thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It was like there was like 30 or 40,000 people joining me for these live videos, and I couldn't even keep up with all of the comments. And I feel like with less people, we can make a more personal connection. And so that's what's happening right now in our English club and in our speaking club and in our Level Up program. I'm able to connect with people on a more personal level. It's great. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's great to have lots and lots of people there too. But when there's not so many people, I get to really connect. So that's really cool. Let's see. Okay, let's go to the next question here. Najibullah says, I was one of your students in 2020. Yeah, in 2020, we had like 4,000 students in our speaking club at the same time. And we had like 50 lessons every day. And it was great, but it was very busy. It was just, there was a lot happening. And we were sending lots of t-shirts to people all around the world. People were making friends with people from everywhere. But sometimes some of the lessons got very busy and had a lot of people in them. We had like 30 or 40 teachers at the same time. It was great and it was exciting, but right now there's less people and I feel like we get to connect a lot more. Okay, great. Let's go to the next question. Natalia asks, Natalia asks, what is the difference between run without and do without? Okay. So first of all, right, sometimes we have a verb and a preposition, and that doesn't always mean that it's a phrasal verb. A phrasal verb has some special meaning usually when it's together, right? But it's not always a phrasal verb if we have these two. Like if I say walk into the room, the verb walk into, well, this is just a combination of the verb to walk and the preposition into. Here we have, for example, to do without. So do without could just be do and then without something. But there's also a phrasal verb, do without, which means, like I would probably use the verb go without also, to go without something. So this is, I think, the main meaning that you're trying to get here is this symbolic or metaphoric meaning. So let's just talk about that one, all right? Because I think you understand, like, I can't do my work without a computer. I think you understand that meaning. Not having a computer, so I can't do it. But there's a metaphoric or symbolic meaning of to go without something, to do without something. And what it means is like you don't need that thing, okay? So I could tell you, I can go without money. If I tell you I can go without money, this means that money is not necessary for me. Like I can live and not have that. It's okay for me to not have that, right? If you meet a person who, here's a good example, coffee, right? Some people feel like they have to have coffee to wake up in the morning, to do something in the morning. And maybe you feel like that too. It's okay if you feel like that. A lot of people in the world need their coffee, right? That's what they'll tell you. I need coffee. And when somebody says that they need coffee, well, they don't really need it, right? And so somebody might tell you, you should try to do without. You should try to go without. And they don't have to say coffee if we're already talking about coffee. They can just say this phrase, to do without or to go without. And we understand that they're talking about coffee. It means to not need it, right? So that's probably, Natalia, that's probably what you're talking about here. Run without, to me, the first association here is about, organizing something, like running something, like to run a business or to run an event. This means to be the organizer. So to run an event without water, right? For example, it means you don't have something and you are organizing it without that. So those are the associations that I make here. But to go without or to do without, it usually is about not needing something that maybe you thought you needed before, like coffee. Okay. What else? Shyam says, I've watched most of your videos on this channel because I love your accent. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And, a lot of people have told me that over the years. They've said that they understand what I say maybe more than a lot of other teachers. And honestly, I'm not speaking to you like you're a child, right? I'm just speaking to you in with normal words, normal language. The difference that you should understand about the way that I speak when I'm teaching is that I've had many, many years to practice what's called leveling my language. Okay? So when I introduce a vocabulary word that's higher level, then I understand that I'm supposed to say it in a special way and deliver it to you, give it to you in a special way that makes it more understandable. There are certain words in English that have Latin and Greek roots, and you are more likely to understand those words when I use them. For example, the word continue. To continue, I can say, let's continue, or I can say, let's go on. Many native English speakers will use go on because it's shorter. The words are simpler. But if I say, let's continue, well, continue comes from Latin. And so it's going to be similar to more languages. So more people in the world will understand me. Because go on is a phrasal verb, and not all people know that go on means continue. So I have a lot of experience teaching, and that's one reason why I'm able to use normal language and speak about things in a regular way, and not talk to you like you're a child, and not talk to people like they're stupid, and to respect you and to really communicate with you, but at the same time to focus on understanding. One of the things that really helped me with this was when I lived in other countries. I've lived in other countries throughout my life, and I've lived in different places all of my life because my father was in the military and he had to go work in different places. And every time I went to a different place to live there with my family as a child, and then as an adult after that, I needed to learn how to speak in the way that people would understand me. Because when you speak, it's not about being correct, right? communication and language is not about being correct. It's about being understood. And it's for people to understand you and for you to understand them. And there are many different ways that people speak English. And it's very important that you understand what English is for. We were talking about this a little bit in our speaking lesson just before this live video. We had a speaking lesson in our speaking club over at krisamerikos.com. And one of the things I talked about there was, it's a big mistake if you think that you're learning English or any other language just to learn the language. Like if I ask someone, why are you learning English? And they say, I just want to know English. I just want to be fluent. Like that's a big mistake. That's never the real reason. You're always learning the language so you can do something else, because a language is just a middle piece. It's not the beginning and it's not the end. It's always just in the middle, right? Like in the beginning, it's like, I want to support my family. To support my family, I need to make more money. If I want to make more money, I need to get a better job. The better job says that I need English, so I'm learning English, right? And that's how it works. People learn English to do something in real life. So that's why I really don't like when a lot of the teachers out there focus so much on what's correct and what's not correct. And I'm guilty of this too. I have done this in the past too. If you go look at my videos from 10 years ago or 15 years ago, or whenever I started making videos on YouTube, a lot of times I would say, this is right, this is wrong. And like, yes, there are rules, and it is important to learn rules for structuring how you speak, not to be correct, but so that people understand. That's why you learn the rules. You don't learn rules to be correct, because sometimes those rules work a little differently in different places. And it's still okay. The point is for people to understand you. And so when people think that they're better just because they speak in a different way, that's wrong. There's really not a big difference between that kind of thinking and thinking that you're better than someone just because of your skin. There's really not a big difference between that. That I was born speaking English this way, so I'm better than people who were born speaking English that way. That's a crazy, crazy idea, right? And so focusing on being correct means focusing on trying to be like a certain standard of English. It's just as crazy and stupid as trying to be white or brown or black or purple or whatever color you think you're supposed to be. In some places they say like, oh, you shouldn't do these things because then your skin will get darker or lighter, or like those things are crazy to me. But okay, I guess that's another topic for another day. Let's go back to the comments. All right. Daniela says, how will I think in English? How will you think in English? Well, the first step is what I was just talking about, is to understand what you need English for, because in order to think in English, you need to create some shortcuts, and those shortcuts are a path to getting things that you really want in your life that are not just about language. Okay? This is the first step. And I know that sounds like very simple, like creating shortcuts, get the thing you want. It's not that simple when you're doing it, but as a theory, it really is that simple. Like, you do the same thing in your language too, by the way. Just think about what you do to learn new concepts in your own language. It works the same for English. I really teach the same skills when I teach business and marketing as when I teach English or any other language. They're really the same. These are thinking skills, right? These are just ways to think about the world and to make life easier for you. Abhishek says, I think I need practice. Yeah. So again, for anybody who needs practice, we have a couple different ways. If you are at the stage where you want to learn English, like grammar, rules, structure, then I'll send you a lesson every day and a quiz where you can practice, and then you can be in our community and write with us and contact us. Okay. And then we also have a live room that you can go to. And so that's called English Club. So I just put the link here in the chat. Now, if you're past that stage, if you're already happy with learning English from lessons and quizzes and things like that, if you've had enough of that, if you've done that already and you want more, then probably what you want or what you're missing is speaking practice. And that's why our speaking club, a lot of the people who are here with us right now, they are part of our speaking club. Like the all-stars that you see in this chat right now, a lot of them are in our speaking club. And that's what, when they're saying, I studied with you in this year or in this year, that's what they're talking about, is our speaking club, because it's really one of the best tools, one of the best resources out there. And it's called English Every Day. It's our speaking club at krisamerikos.com. And I just sent the link to that in the chat. And then on top of that, we have a program for how to think in English. And that's really the highest level one. That's where I like to help people the most, personally get involved. And it's called Level Up. And I'm not going to send you the link to that because I don't want a lot of people trying to join it. Okay. I don't want a lot of people trying to join it. How to think in English. You really need to be able to speak in English first. Well, you don't actually have to do the speaking program first, but I just don't want too many people in there. It's higher level, and I need to keep the quality high. So if you want to learn about our Level Up program, then you can just send us an email. Okay. Great. Okay. Let me answer some more of these questions. So let's see. What's the next one? I'm using translation to understand some phrases. Is it okay to understand the general meaning, not literally translation? Cosmic Game writes. Yeah, cool. Thanks for this question. So when you translate words, is it okay to translate? It's crazy to me. Like a lot of beginner teachers will just tell you, no, never translate, because what they're thinking is that you're just going to rely on translating. And yes, as a short answer, I think that's a good answer to say, no, don't translate. But that's not the answer I'm going to give you. It is true that you need to think yourself, right? So if you're going to stop thinking yourself and you're going to ask the translator to think for you, that's a problem, because you're not going to develop the skill of thinking about the language and then using it yourself. Instead, you're going to always trust this other thing. And that's a problem. But as your level gets higher and higher in the language, sometimes a quick translation is much faster than trying to have some description of what this thing means, right? So I'm a fan of translating. I think that it is useful to translate. You shouldn't always translate. And what you need to understand, like you wrote, like the general meaning, not the exact definition, right? So when you translate something, you have to understand that that's not always right, and that there are different contexts and situations. And so the real meaning of anything is about the situation and the context. So it's really important that you remember that. And then, yeah, I'm a fan of using translation. I think it's fine. Great. Nirvana, by the way, if you guys don't know Nirvana in the chat, she wrote this question. I'm going to read it now. But first, I have to say a few words about Nirvana. Nirvana, one of our oldest students, she's been with us for forever, from like the beginning, I think. She even worked in our team. She's just like the ultimate all-star. If you've seen our channel, you've probably seen her commenting on videos. If you're in our community, you've seen her sharing resources in there. Nirvana is just an absolute all-star English learner. I've never met anyone else like her. I love her. She's just so amazing. Nirvana, thank you so much for being here today. Again, you're always with us. You're always on top of it, always. And I just thank you so much, Nirvana. Thank you for everything that you do. So Nirvana asked the question, what's the other meaning of issue besides problem? Yeah, so there's this word issue, or you see, I'm American from the United States. My parents, my grandparents, all from the United States, they only speak English. Even though some of them tried to learn some other languages, they never really did. So growing up, I only spoke English because all of my family only spoke English, and still they only speak English now. So we're American and we say issue, issue. But when I speak with some of my British English friends and colleagues, they say issue, issue. What's the issue? So there's different ways to pronounce this word. I'm going to say issue. So what's another meaning of the word issue? Yeah, one meaning is problem. We can say, what's your issue? What's the issue with this? It means what's the problem? But another meaning is when we talk about a magazine or a journal, right? So there are different issues of the magazine or journal. It's like when you watch a series of videos, there's like season 1, episode 3, right? So an issue is like an episode, but usually for something that is printed, like a journal or a magazine. So this is another meaning of issue. There's also the verb to issue something, which is like to send out. We can say the government issued a warning. The government sent a warning to the people. So there are different meanings of the word, and this is the perfect example of why you can't just translate something in a simple way and then always rely on that translation. It's great to translate to get a general idea, but then you need to put it into a situation or context to understand the real meaning. Awesome. So many great questions here. Thank you so much, everybody, for your participation today. I see that this live call has been going for an hour and 18 minutes. I'm not tired. I could keep going for another couple hours and answer questions. It does seem like there's not so many people here today, so I am going to answer just the last couple questions here in the chat, and then I am going to close out this live call, and hopefully we'll have another one soon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to decide when the next one happens based on how you interact, So sometimes people will come over to our English club or our speaking club and they'll say, hey, I saw you live, Kris. And, I just wanted to talk some more and I wanted to get more practice, and that's great. And then we can connect face to face, which is really cool. Especially like on YouTube, I see your little picture and we're talking. Aza, thank you for coming to the lesson earlier and then coming here. And Aza, make sure you add me on Facebook or LinkedIn, and we'll talk about your consulting business because I have a lot of resources I think you would find helpful. But yeah, so I'm not sure when the next live call will be, but when do you think it should be? When do you think I should go live and do this and talk with you again? Maybe I should do that because, I'm watching how many people are here with us right now, and it says like 30 people or so. And it's great that there's a small number of people like this, but I think it would be more effective if there are more people here. So I think I'll wait and I'll see if you share this with other people because, it's one thing if you think that it's valuable and you just write that it's valuable in the comments. And I love that. And thank you so much again for being here today. But it's another thing when you share it with other people. Like if you go and you post it in the different English groups on Facebook or other websites where maybe, we don't even have a page, like for example, on Pinterest, or there's a lot of Chinese websites, European websites, Spanish speaking websites. There are different websites all over the world. And if you share this, if you share a link to this video, if you can go and share this with more people, then I'm happy to do more of these live calls with you and answer questions and help you understand English, but not just understand and learn English, but get practice and think about it a little differently. And like I said before, I think that that's the best way that I can help you, is to give you another way of thinking about it. Because you can get all the lessons and the grammar and the vocabulary and all that stuff anywhere, really, right? And my role here, with all of my experience and all of the expertise and skill that I have from all of these years, the best way that I can help you is to change how you think. All right, I'm going to answer the last questions and then we're going to wrap this up. That means we're going to end it. All right, let's see. Next. What's the difference between enough and sufficient? That's a good question, Dominique asks here in the chat. So enough can have a few different meanings, right? First of all, the words enough and sufficient are very close in meaning. They're very close in meaning. Sufficient will be enough for something. It will already have this extra meaning of enough inside of it. Like, and then there's the opposite. There's the word insufficient, insufficient. Like, for example, if you're trying to pay for something, you might see you have insufficient funds. Funds is another way to say money. Funds, funds. So yeah, maybe you're trying to pay for something and it says you have insufficient funds. You don't have enough. So enough for something. You don't have enough to pay for this. You don't have enough in this situation. That's what sufficient or insufficient means. Enough is just a bigger word with more meanings, right? Like if someone is speaking and they're speaking, they're not stopping, and they keep talking. You can say enough. This means like stop. Like I've heard enough. You've said enough words, right? The opposite of enough is not enough. There isn't a good opposite of this. You can also say that someone lacks something, to lack something. L-A-C-K, to lack, which means to not have enough. All right, so I would say that the difference between enough and sufficient is that enough is the general word to describe this concept, and sufficient is enough for something in a specific situation. Excellent. I love the questions. Jorge and Sarah Channel, you've been very active today. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us like this. Yeah, thanks for asking these questions. I really like having you guys here. Why do I face a challenge to hear what native speakers say in their movies? Do I have to practice listening skills or what? Good question. So you have to understand that if you listen to a movie in the native language that the movie is made in, then it's made to entertain the people who are native speakers of that language, right? So most movies are not created for non-native speakers who are learning English, right? So there's a lot of things that I do when I'm teaching and that English books do and lessons online do. There's a lot of things that you do when you're learning a language that are made to help you start understanding. But in movies and films, that's not what it's for. It's for entertainment. And it's for entertainment of people who already speak the language at a high level. Just think about this. A lot of times when someone tells a joke in your language, that joke is about how a word has more than one meaning, or how somebody in your culture does something strange, right? Something that is not standard. So those are cultural and linguistic jokes. And that's entertaining and it's funny to you. But a person who's trying to learn, they don't understand that that word has more than one meaning. Or maybe they don't understand why the difference in meaning is funny. Maybe they don't understand the other meaning. Or maybe they don't understand that cultural situation and they don't understand what the standard is in the culture, right? So there's already a level of understanding that people have that the movie is made for. You know, I can watch a movie or a film and not understand sometimes. So you shouldn't feel bad that, like, sometimes I have to stop and say, what did they say? And go back and watch it again. This happens. It doesn't happen so often, but it happens. So yeah, like you need it's hard sometimes because when you're learning the language, you want to just dive into the really good stuff. Like all the native speakers are saying, "Oh, this is a good movie. This is a great book." And then you open it up or you watch it and you're like, "I don't understand anything." Right? Well, that's because what native speakers think is good is based on how their experience of the language. It's based on those cultural and linguistic things that they've been developing for their whole life, right? And you've just started recently. So if you're going to use a book or a movie or a TV show to learn English, then you need to find the right level. So if you're going to read a book to learn English, read one page and you need to understand at least 90%, 90% of that page. If you're watching a movie or a TV show, watch, a minute or 2 minutes. You need to understand 90% of the words and phrases and things that they're saying. That's the right level for you. Because if you don't understand a lot, then it's not going to be enjoyable. And there's going to be too many things for you to learn and you won't actually remember them. And I'm not just making up these numbers, okay? This is from research. People have found that when you try to learn too much at the same time, then you just don't learn anything at all. So Jorge and Sarah channel, I hope that helps you. All right. Tana says, could you please give me an example of how to think in English? Yeah, I mean, it's the same as thinking in your own language. That's the thing that a lot of people will say, I can speak in English, but I always get stuck on these words, or I always get stuck when I'm trying to do this. That's a different problem, okay? Like you think in English by knowing what you want first, which would be the same as in your language. Have you ever been in an English class or learning something, learning a language, and the teacher asks you a question and you say, I don't even know the answer in my own language. How would I say it in English if I don't even know it in my own language? Right? Have you ever heard that before? Have you ever said that before? That's because it's about thinking about the answer, right? They asked you a question and you have to think about the answer. And so it doesn't matter what language it's in, it's about thinking. So learning to think in English is one part. Learning not to think, that thinking in English is different from just normal thinking, right? So you have to unlearn something that you believe. This is why I tell you that most of what I help you with here is about how you think about English and not so much the rules and the grammar. And I've done that for years. Now I'm focusing on a higher level. And I think that's the best way I can help you. All right. Great. What else? Okay, Cosmic Game has the last question, and then we're going to finish this live call because it's already been an hour and a half. A lot longer than I thought. All right, Cosmic Game wrote, what do you think about comprehensive input method? Using mining as a active listening, mining. I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean about mining. All right. So I think what you're talking about, like, I think you're referring to the same concept that I was talking about, that there's a certain level of learning that will be useful to you. And like, okay, let's back up, right? So there's something that I definitely believe, and there's steps that you have to learn, right? So for example, if we talk about grammar, you're not like you won't learn future perfect before you learn present continuous, verb tense, right? And if you don't know what those things are, it's absolutely okay. Like, most of the native speakers who I meet don't know what those things are, honestly. Those are words that you use when you're learning the language. But yeah, like, there are steps. There are certain ideas and concepts that you have to learn before you learn another one, because they build on each other. Okay. And so, yeah, I absolutely believe that that's true. So I think that that's what you're talking about. Sorry if it's not, but I think that that's what you're talking about. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here today. I want to give a extra special thanks to Claudia and to Evan, who supported us on YouTube by becoming a member of our YouTube channel. And there are different levels of membership on our YouTube channel, but basically there are some extra bonuses that you get on YouTube. So if you're a big YouTube user and you like watching videos on YouTube, you can get early access to our videos that we put out. And there's some other bonuses, like having this symbol next to your name on YouTube so that I can see that you're one of our special members. So if that's something that you want to do, then you can go to our channel and you can become a member, and that helps support us. And it really, that's a signal to me that people want me to be on YouTube more. Okay. So, so if that's you, if you're a YouTuber, if you love YouTube stuff and you want to see more YouTube from us, then, you can go to our channel, you can subscribe. Subscribing is the first thing. And I really love that people subscribe to our channel, and then you can get notifications. But then there are people who go the next step and they become a member. And right, becoming a member is a paid thing that you pay on YouTube. And that really means a lot to me, because it says that, it's worth something. It's not just time that someone is spending with us, but they're actually supporting our mission and what we do, so that we can, everyone has to eat, right? So they're helping us do that. And I really appreciate that. So that's the first thing I have to say before I go. And Aditya says, you don't read my comments, but I just did. And that's the first one that you wrote today. Interesting. So the second thing I want to do is remind you that we have, if you want to learn English, every single day I send out lessons and quizzes every day. Okay. And I've been doing it for like years. Every day I send out these messages, these lessons and quizzes, and then in our community every day people are chatting and talking and practicing. And so if you want to learn English like that, if you want to learn every day with us, then you can come over and join our English club. I'm going to send you the link right now in the chat. Now, if you're at the next level, if you've been learning English for a while, you know a lot of these concepts, but you just don't have someone to practice with. You just need to practice speaking, and you need to do it regularly, and you need to do it with someone professional. Then I invite you to come to our speaking club. And our speaking club, many, like thousands and thousands of people around the world have said that this is the best speaking club on the planet. Okay, you maybe you've seen people say that, right? Maybe you've seen that before. So here is the speaking club link. I've just sent that in the chat. And Aditya says, what about the poors? Okay, what about the poors? I think he means poor people. People who don't have money is what he's saying, right? So first of all, people put money and time into things that they think are valuable. So sometimes people send me messages or emails and they say, help me, I don't have money, help me. And I'm going to be honest with you, I never help those people. Never. I don't want to help those people, because what they're telling me is that they're not going to help themselves. And so I know that if I spend my time and my resources and my money to help them, that it's going to be a waste. That's what happens when those kinds of people do that. They're not trying on their own, right? Like they're going out and just saying, help. Like in an emergency, you ask for help. But this is not that kind of situation, right? So if you want something, you have to get it. And right now, you're spending your time. There's two categories of people, right? There are people who are time rich and money poor. And then there are people who are money rich and time poor. And you exchange the thing that you don't have to get the other. So if you're money poor, then you have time. So use your time in a way that will help you so that you will have more money, and then you can do more of the things that you want to do without spending so much time to get there. On the other hand, if you're money rich and time poor, well, then you don't have a lot of time to watch a live video for an hour and a half, right? You don't have time to go search the whole internet and watch a million YouTube videos. So for those people, it's easier and better for them to just pay a little bit of money and have the thing that they want. And then they don't have to waste their time. So that's the difference here, Aditya, and anyone else who might have had that question in their brain. All right. So like I was saying, for those who are learning English, we have our English club. It's right there in the chat. For those who want to learn how to speak English, there is the link to our speaking club right there in the chat. And then for those who want to learn how to think in English, like I said, you can reach out and ask us about our Level Up program. You can send us an email. And anyone who wants to connect with me on a personal level, you can add me personally on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and we can connect there. I'll send you the link right now in the chat. So here is my Facebook link, and here is my LinkedIn link to my profile personally. All right. So yeah, if you need my help, like if you are starting an online business, then you've seen that I've done this a bunch of times. Maybe you want my help with that. If you already have a brand, a company online, and you need to get more customers, I can help with that. Those are things to contact me about personally. Okay. If you're learning English, want to speak English, want to think in English, then go to krisamerikos.com. That's the best place for that. That's where we do the English learning stuff. And like, if you just want to follow me online, then yeah, go follow my personal page and see what I'm about, and leave comments, and we can interact there too. But yeah, so those are all the resources. Thank you again so much for being here today. And I really hope that you find what you're looking for. And, show us some support, and I'll come back again and we'll do another live call here. All right. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Thank you. Thank you so much for your attention and your time, and for all of your support. Thank you. Bye-bye.